So, and this guy is trying to come through here. He's trying to make it through the like he's in the second division and was looked after by people to be in the first division. So I don't know. We'll see. Probably 9 months of recovery there.
Yes.
So am I crooked in the? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Where are you, Mark? What
I'm in
town
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay. And are you still coaching?
A little bit. I help with a high school team, and next week I'm going to go to Grand Rapids and help with a clinic with the National High School Coaches, NISCA.
Oh yeah, I know that group.
Yes. So maybe there's going to be a vote next week whether the 2027 event will be in Pittsburgh, in my city, where I'm helping. So hopefully they all approve that for next year, and then maybe we could have you come down and talk to our high school coaches or something like that.
Yeah, we don't really have high school swimming here in Canada, which is, I think, a huge issue with the steps of success for these athletes.
Yes.
So like to go from age group swimming to senior swimming, the step is so big, and which I always thought the strength of the American system is creating all these steps of success. So okay, you're not making it at United States swimming program yet. You're making it in high school until you build your confidence, and then you keep. And in Arizona, when I was there, you could swim club and compete high school, so it wasn't a problem.
Right.
So you could keep controlling. Control's the wrong word, but keep controlling the progression of the athletes yourself as a club, So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Because even do you guys still have sectionals and stuff like that?
Yeah, there are a lot of things. It gets funky because there'll be a sectional, there'll be a state championship, there'll be a futures meet, junior nationals, senior nationals, and that's where our International Swim Coaches Association, ISCA, has a meet, and you can then take everybody to it, whether you're Caleb Dressel's been there, or else a kid that's just sort of making one or two cuts, and then then maybe you'll be able to have an A and a B relay all in the same meet. Whereas you don't have kids going to a lot of different places, and it also gets to be taxing with the travel and having coaches go to different places.
Yeah. So because I think that's what's happening more and more is I do a bit of work with PEI, which is this province right off Maine, and they have no 50-meter pool. The whole Atlantic region has a 150-meter pool, and in Canada, the only way you could qualify for nationals now is long course. So these clubs are having to fly to Montreal or Toronto all the time to get these kids to qualify, and it's how these little clubs go. They go and there's two people. There's no environment. There's no team behind you, but when you go with just 35 people, like you feel like the team is behind you. So
I guess the big meet will be in Montreal this year, right? So qualifier.
Yeah, that's right. So
will you go to that meet?
Yeah, I'll go and sit through a few sessions. It's kind of always your peers. So
good.
Montreal is always a great town.
I've been talking a lot with Barry Healy.
Yes.
In BC.
In Vernon.
Yeah, and actually, I don't think he's in Vernon now. He's in Salmon Arm.
Oh yes.
So that'll be you'll have to say hi and have a chat with him, because he's been working on some stuff with insurance that I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to. It feels like when I go to my view, I feel like all long and skinny. I don't know. That's the way you see, or
No, you look good.
normal?
I don't
Okay.
like to look short and fat.
No, you look good. Are you grandpa yet?
No.
No. Yeah.
My oldest got married in December.
Well, there we go. That's good.
And my youngest, I only have 2 boys. He's now engaged, so he'll get married in May.
Are they in their 30s, these kids?
Well, they're right at 31 and 27. Yes. So
Oh,
right
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow I've got two boys, so all 3 of us will have a Father's Day barbecue and I got 8 grandkids here.
Beautiful.
So, and one of my sons got a big pool in his backyard, so we'll go swim there. Try to convince him. He was a good little swimmer when he was young, but he's in his 30s in construction. But he has these parties with all the neighbors, and they all have little kids, 4, 6, 8-year-old, and they're like 15, 20 little kids, and they have no lifeguards in their pool.
That's nervous.
I know, and so last summer, I said, like, Pierre, his name is Pierre Philip. I said, Pierre, like, nobody's watching. They're all watching, but nobody's watching, and you need to hire a guard for.
Please, that's yes, for sure.
$30, and she could, or he could just keep an eye on these kids while you guys could still have a good time. So anyway.
Yeah, every summer there's a family or 2 around here that will have a party, and they hire me, or else they ask me who they could hire. Yeah, that's a wise idea. That's a terrible way to end a party.
Yeah. Well, last year I ended up doing that. I said, I'll just go in the water with the kids and play with them and stay with them.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from different countries. We would like to welcome you for today's episode, or you may call it a session, of breaststroke developments in aquatics. We would like to welcome you here in the United Countries School Sports Council, where we just collaborated with United Countries Sports Management Council, where Pakistan is actually actively participating. Now, we do have our host coming from Florida, USA, coach of water polo, Coach Mark Rauterkus. We would like to introduce our speaker for today, the head coach of Australia before, where he is the high performance director and also the head coach of Canada from Ottawa, is none other than the chef de mission before, and I still don't know if he is still the chef de mission till now, of Canada, none other than Coach Pierre Lafontaine. Please welcome Coach Pierre Lafontaine. Coach, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. I'm hoping, if I lose you guys, my computer or my iPad is charging as we go. So if there's a problem, it might take a minute for me to get back in it. But welcome from Ottawa, Canada, and for us, we're only about a week from our Canada festivities, and it's always a great celebration to be a Canadian. But for me, one of the things that was exciting in my life was the ability to work around the world from Canada, US, Australia, and Azerbaijan just a few months ago, India. And the whole point, that the reason I'm bringing this up is the whole point about this presentation on breaststroke is about the fact that as a coach, and I've been at it now, funny enough, I was thinking 50 years this year. It's really important that as a coach, you keep reinventing yourself. And you're still coaching kids 50 years later or 4 years later or 20 years later. And sometime as a coach, you might even think, oh my goodness, like I've said that last year to people, and I've said it a year before to people. Now I have to say it again. But yes, you do have to keep reinventing yourself. And so for me, tell you a little bit of this story about the breaststroke, is most of my success stories were with distance swimming and middle distance and some IM. And then in 2021, I was approached by China to go and work with them, both in terms of helping the federation in their governance, but also working with the coaches. And so I ended up in this town called Hangzhou. It was the day after they opened the country from COVID. And I meet the direction, and they were having a trials for probably the World Championship that year. Yeah, it was a trial for the World Championship. And they said, Coach, it's great to have you here. It's exciting to have you back here. And we've got this girl that hasn't swum in a year. She's a pretty good breaststroker, and we'd love to know if you'd want to coach her. And all I could think about was, oh my goodness, like, what do I know about coaching breaststroke? And so I said, yeah, let's go. Sometimes you have to put the cart in front of the horses and go for the challenges. And I think, I've personally done that pretty well all my life. Like, I left Australia in 2005 to come to Canada, and they asked me to be the CEO of Canada and the national coach. And I go like, wow, I've never been a CEO. I'm just a swim coach from growing through the programs. And so to me, it was really about putting myself in a position where if it's comfortable, then I'm falling asleep. So I'm going to go and put myself in a very uncomfortable position and make it work, make it happen. So this breaststroke thing was exactly the same. It was, okay, I'm going to watch this meet. And then, I've got 2.5 years to the Olympics. And so this young woman started with the program, and they ended up finding another 5 other breaststrokers to come and work. They're all young kids, 17, 18, 19-year-old. And if you remember this, there was this world record breaststroker boy, China Young, that didn't get to swim with me, swam with his home coach. But we ended up training together side by side. And it was one of those, I go, okay, so there's a few people I knew that were incredible breaststroke coaches in my career. And all I kept thinking about, I don't know if any of you guys have seen those bands, what would Jesus do? That people wear sometime. And I'd go, okay, what would Paul Bergen do? And with the breaststrokers, he had a girl called Cindy Ump, who was a world record holder. And then I go, what would Barry Prime do? He was a breaststroke coach in Australia when I was there. And then when I was in Canada, I hired Joseph Nagy, coach, Barrowman and some great breaststrokers. And I go, okay, what would Joseph do? And I kind of rethought my whole approach to breaststroke as a challenge to me as a learning process also. I do also believe that breaststroke, you need to think breaststroke a bit like you need to think butterfly. And I think the breaststrokers, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit later, the breaststrokers need to do a lot of butterfly. And you know what, if you look at the Olympics with Léon Marchand swimming the 200 fly early in the program, won the 200 fly at the Olympics, and then an hour and a half later won the 200 breaststroke at the Olympics back to back. And so, I think to me, there is a lot of crossover with breaststrokers, with butterfly. So my presentation is a lot of fresh in my mind things that every day I kept thinking, okay, how could I make it more interesting, more challenging, but also technically perfect? So if I go to breaststroke, I got to tell you that I think breaststrokers' personalities are quite different than most other swimmers. I visualize it like in baseball, the pitcher or the catcher don't train like the outfielders or the third baseman, or in ice hockey, the goalie doesn't train like the guys that play in the middle of the ice. And I think the breaststrokers are very much like this. They are quite different in their mental approach, or quite different in their presentation. Bye. Thank you very much. And so I would approach every day with this concept, saying, okay, how could I use the breaststroke differently than how I would coach the sprint freestylers or the flyers and so on. So I would say to you, first and foremost, that flexibility, and I'm going to bring it up a bit, but flexibility, technique, and kicking, probably as a breaststroke coach or as a coach coaching breaststrokers within your whole program, are crucial. Like ankle flexibility, bring your heels to your bum flexibility, so you can bring your feet all the way up past your hips. I think is crucial to a great kick. If you ever look at a video from Kate Douglas, and please go online and go watch her 200 breaststroke world record, you'll see, short course and long course, you'll see how high your feet are coming up. They're not low kicks. And then you look at other breaststrokers where their kicks are not as wide as she is, but their ability to speed up. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the drills that we did for that. To me, the ability to speed up the kick was really important. The only other thing I would say, so, we're talking about flexibility, we're talking about strength, we're talking about body position. The body position has to be as flat as you can within your technique. Your feet are not low, your head is not so high. So if you just keep this simple concept, like powerful kick, great body position, great ankle flexibility, and like really strong legs, you'll get a long way with the breaststrokers. But the problem with the breaststrokers, when you're in a club program, like I had 1 lane or 2 lanes with only breaststrokers, and I had a girl backstroker with me. And I'm going to tell you the next concept of, I'll tell you why I asked the Chinese leadership to send me a backstroker too, was because the ability to work the breaststrokers guys and the backstroker girls together was, to me, a point. So keep thinking of breaststrokers need some space in the pool. And if you only swim them freestyle, they can't do great breaststroke. If you only swim them breaststroke with the butterflyers, there's not enough room in the lanes often. There's too many waves. Everybody's not swimming properly. And keep always thinking about technique as being the process of a great breaststroker. So if I keep telling you about breaststroke technique, it's about creating an environment where there's room for them, that they don't have to try to stay with the freestylers. They could, swim their own speed, because the breaststroke doesn't swim as fast as the rest of the group. And if you mix them up with the freestylers and the backstrokers and the breaststrokers, you always put them at the end. And often, especially short course pools, by the time they get going, the freestylers are back around chasing them. So you got to be patient with them and poised in the approach. So even when I was coaching clubs, I did have some good breaststrokers, nothing world-class breaststrokers, but I was always trying to find a way to put them in 1 lane. And, the end lane is no good, because they kick the wall all the time. So they changed their technique not to kick the wall, and they get hurt. So you put them in lane 2 or lane, the second lane. So there is room for them to kick, or like they need to pull really wide. So all of these concepts to me is about creating the environment where they could do their work. That's really important. The other aspect is for them, and I'm saying this just in terms of training, for them to push breaststroke off the wall flat all the time is not what you're requiring on the push off or the dive. And so to me, the push off needs to be at an angle where they go towards the bottom. So I'm going to bring it up. It goes like You push, you go 1, 2, fly kick, pull, you straighten out, 3, 4, kick, you come to the surface. So to me, the down is using the gravity on the push and the fly kick and the pull, and then using the buoyancy on the kick up so that you could get yourself to the surface. The bigger problem is a lot of the younger kids, and you could see that in a lot of the strokes. I help a little 11-year-old and 10-year-old little girl here, and they always, when they come to the surface, freestyle and butterfly, they look up to the surface. And it's to get them to keep their head down till the beginning of the pullout, so their head goes down, down, down. Then they get to the first breath on the first stroke with their head down. And if you ever do tests with your swimmers, just that alone, again, that's technical, but that alone will give them another 5/10 of a second, only because they keep their speed going, but also their first stroke is faster because the speed of the underwater has been pretty good. So keep thinking about creating a learning environment or a situation in your lanes that are about protecting them from being beaten up by the flyers or swimming in big waves all the time. They just can't hold their stroke, or they have to lift their head up too high. So that would be one thing I would like to emphasize early on. You're not just training them. It's not training. You're coaching a technique, and the technique will make them go fast. In Canada or in North America, if you're doing cross-country skiing, it's like swimming. It's a great sport, but if you don't have technique, you're beating yourself, down to it's all muscle instead of finesse. And for us in breaststroke, it's an art. It's like a beautiful painting that needs to be gentle with the water, and nothing is hard. Fast, but it doesn't have to be hard. When it's hard, you tense up. And if anybody know the principles in drag, the faster you go, the drag, if your feet are down, the drag is 3 times higher than the speed. So the more speed you get, the drag increases by 3%, 3 times. So again, it's a just simple principle of body position and streamlining. And, now they're going 55, 100 breaststroke boys. You can't be, you can't be dragging anything. You got to be on top of the water so high. So, couple of principles in the way I set up the practice for breaststrokers. First of all, the breaststrokers do a lot of IM, especially when their breaststroke gets tired. When the breaststroke gets tired, you're trying to get IM in so they could do the breaststroke, but give you a concept. And to me, they're not just rules, they're concept. What you could do if you're short course or even long course, if you're short course, you could go 25 fly, 25 back, 50 breaths, 25 free. So you're doing sets of 125 where you emphasize some breaststroke, but they're doing a lot of IM. And so any of those type of permutation, you're doing, 300 is 50 fly, 50 back, 100 breaths, 50 free or something, so that's 250s. So anytime you could do these things, it doesn't fatigue the breaststroker's mental psyche, and it keeps them doing more breaststroke. To be honest, breaststrokers have to do breaststroke, but the progression is crucial so that you don't hurt their knees or don't hurt their ankles and so on and so forth. So even within the breaststroke kick, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, you need to do breaststroke kick a lot, but you need to build it. So it could be we're doing, 20 50s, 25 breaststroke, 25 freestyle. They're probably not very good at freestyle, but then you're not over kicking early in the season. But, I get to at the end of the season, I go 20 50s breaststroke kick on a minute 30 all out. But it took a while to adapt. Or 5 300 breaststroke kick. or even 400 breaststroke kick descending 1 to 5. And so, but it's. I remember even doing this similar presentation in China, and the coaches go, "Oh, okay, 400 breaststroke." I said, "No. Yes, that's the goal, but you have to build into it." And then all of a sudden, I heard that a team in Hangzhou would go 400 breaststroke kick the 10-year-old. I think I'm talking to you here a bit more as a senior level, but the breaststroker kids often are born. If any of you guys have done swimming lessons, which I've done a lot, the breaststroke that you get a 5-year-old and he goes breaststroke kick by itself when you try to teach him freestyle. So he's the one that go sign him up early on. Again, I go back to training. Think about breaststroke and fly as a unit. There's a great drill, which is a 25 breaststroke, 25 fly, 1 stroke breaststroke, 1 stroke fly, 1 stroke breaststroke, 1 stroke fly. You could do some of these things. It's the same concept. What I find a lot of breaststrokers don't necessarily like fly. And so even this young Chinese girl that I coached to the medal at the Olympics, she hated butterfly, but I thought it was really important. So every single workout, we would do 16, 25 fly with fins on, and then 8, 25 flies without fins. And it'd be all sorts of things. It could be fly with, 1 fin, no fin, 2 fins, fast, easy. But I made sure that she was doing fly all the time. And when we were doing no fins, her technique was terrible. So it was either I get mad all the time, which I didn't want to do, or fool her into doing a lot of fly. That's why even we'd go 75 fly, 75 back, 75 breast. Well, 75 fly, she was terrible last 25, but I'd get her to go that far over. But for me to get her to go a set of 100 fly was a waste of my time. So I'd pull my hair and she'd be terrible at it. She didn't like it. The rest of the workout was not good. But find ways to get these kids to do a lot of fly. And to me, I look at fly for these kids that are not good at it, like I look at math in school. You don't do math on Friday all day and no math the rest of the day. Or you don't eat protein Friday all day, but you don't eat protein the rest of the week. So you need to do a little bit at every workout. And then, you could fool them, fly kick underwater and so on and so forth. There's lots of ways. I mean, often the coach's biggest issue is our own imagination. We stop thinking. We go back to the routine of the simple, always the same things. And even if I get bored as a coach when I coach them, they're certainly getting bored by the concept. The other thing is putting the breaststrokers in one lane, racing the girls' backstrokers. So, the girls' backstroke world record is 56. The breaststroke world record is. So I had these boys going 59 and 100 breaststroke, and the girl I had was a 5900 backstroker, 58.9. So we did a lot of sets side by side, the breaststroke boys and the backstroke girls. And even, try to get the breaststroke boys to go as fast as the backstroke girls kicking. So to me, in setting up my workouts, it wasn't, even if maybe the backstroke girl was in the same lane for part of the workout, I'd put her in a position where she was in a lane beside when we do the main sets. For example, it'd be 20 50s, 1 easy, 1 fast, 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5 fast ones on whatever interval I needed for them to do the time I want them to do, which was the boy breaststroker. I want him to go to 29s. And the girl, I wanted her to go 29. That was the second 50 of our 100 back. So that worked really well. They help each other. And so, again, set up your workout so the breaststrokers have the ability to race, but also give them the room so they could do the technique properly. The other thing that I would do a lot with the breaststrokers was 10 seconds apart instead of 5 seconds apart. Because they would, some are really good kickers, they would catch up and then slow down and so on. So 10 seconds apart gives you the ability to give the room that you need, and you're not waves in your face all the time and so on and so forth. So it's just a matter of setting up your practice properly. I certainly, as a coach, trying to learn or seeing, go online. First of all, this gotv.com is a great platform. There's thousands of videos and drills and so on. I'll talk to you a little bit more about drills, but first of all, you have to imagine your drills. You've got to think about what works for one kid and doesn't work for the other kid in breaststroke. Often in breaststroke, I would say, okay, you're going to do this drill for kicking, and the other one we do another drill, And so it becomes a bit more personal approach to the coaching. Like I said, Kate Douglas is a really good example to watch. I think Leo Marchand, there's a lot more and more videos that are underwater of Leo, and I think some of them are pretty good. You think if these are the new ones, but you guys probably don't know, but I think Phelps was often a medalist in the 200 breaststroke at U.S. Nationals and the world record holder 200 fly, So there's a world-class IMer. So I think all of a sudden a breaststroker that do fly a lot and do a lot of IM becomes, even for us in North America and the NCAA, you get a good breaststroker. Wow, like the college system are looking at it because they could do breaststroke, they could do IM, they could do relays, and some of them could do fly. So it becomes a good a good product for the college system. The body position that I'm looking for is always flat, with the head is down, like your ears are between your arms. The hands are at the surface of the water. A lot of time your kids will go and they do the pull in training, pull, and then they dive down with their hands. And to me, they have to push up with their hands so their hands become a surfboard. And their head doesn't knock down. The head goes down gently with the stroke trying to be at the surface. One great drill with that is take a tennis ball, and they could hold the tennis ball like this, and then they swim like that. So their head doesn't go up and down, their shoulders go up and down. And it takes a little bit to adapt. So often when I do private lessons with them, I'll go 25 breaststroke with the ball, 25 breaststroke without the ball. They throw me the ball and then they swim breaststroke without the ball. So their head, they learn to keep their head steady and it doesn't go up and down. You'll see some videos, the hips are out of the water. They talk about this wave thing. And I agree with all of that. But I think the one thing on a day-to-day training program with them is when they kick themselves at the surface. It's almost feeling like they're pushing upwards. If all they do is always push down, breathe, go down. So that's, to me, one of the most important things, especially when they get tired in training. They do that, and you got to keep reminding them. You can't do that at the end, though, if you're coaching at the end of the pool. You got to coach on the side of the pool, walk up and down, give them feedback, and get off your phone. The phone's only good for taking videos. If you're on your phone, I mean, I don't know if I said this to this group or not, but could you imagine the teacher of your 5th grade child that's on their phone half the time when she gives lessons? As a parent, you put your kids in a program so they could be the best they could be, and the coach is on their darn phone. It just kills me. So to me, put your phone away, except if you want to do a video. Or you go watch, for me, whenever I take a video, I try to do a screenshot of technique that I'm looking for, and I use it to show the technique that I want them to do. The other thing I think is crucial in the kicking part of the body position is to kick. If you see me, to kick and not kick down, but kick behind and up, so that your feet get behind your hips and then you're floating at the surface. So to me, that's also another thing that when you coach from the side, you could see if the feet stay below the water or they come up to the surface. And so whenever I had trouble with my breaststrokers in China, often it was I'd forgotten to remind them to get their feet up, or I get frustrated because they were swimming very fast. But, I wasn't looking at their body position to give them feedback on body position. So it becomes a flat structure as long as possible. So one of the things that I love doing with these breaststrokers would be these sets of 850s on a minute 30, if it's long course, with the least stroke possible. Like they do the pull out, and then they count their stroke one, and they try to see how long they could be. And, I mean, this breaststroke boy that went 207, that was finished fourth at the Olympics, he got to do, with a dive, he got to do 3 strokes for 50 meters. But it really helped him understand his body position. The girl was second in the 100 breaststroke, she was 5 strokes for the 100, for the 50 breaststroke, 50 meters, So that's a really cool drill. So when you train a program, it could be, we're going to go, if it's short course, I don't know, 12, 25, do the least stroke possible. And these kids get down to not 1, but 3 or 4 or 5. And normally they would go 11 and 10. So it takes them a while to get the feel of riding the water, feet up, head position down. And also, when they catch with their elbows up. They're like this and not like this. So the hands are up, your elbows. If you see a video of Kate Douglas, the elbows are at the surface and they scoop around with their hands. The way I envision it, you've got a bowl of cookie dough. It's a round bowl, and with the outside of your hands, you try to scrape around the bowl with the inside of your hands through your stroke, So it can't do it when your hands are down. So you got to get your elbows up and even ride with your elbows up like this. All right. You could, like I got it done with this little 10-year-old girl that I was working here, and she was in the breaststroker 6 months ago, and she ended up winning the Ontario regional breaststroke meet. And it was all about riding up high and using your feet. Because I'd say, again, the other really good drill when you try to teach the kicking up is this drill where you go 2 kick 1 pull or 3 kick 1 pull. So you kick up, and get your feet up behind you. Also, if you pinch your bum together, that helps the core of your body. The other thing I like in the hands, that your hands when you recover are like this. They're not like that. They're like this, like a surfboard. And as you stretch, you roll and you start this way. So it's not just flat, like you're recovering like this, and you push, and then you rotate, and then you catch. Because if your hands are like this, your elbows are low. As soon as you get your hands up, it lifts your elbow. So as a coach, you need to look at that. It's got to be you coaching the technique all the time, not sometime, all the time in breaststroke. In backstroke, well, all the strokes, I mean, you have to become an artist of your technique. But, like I said to you, reinvent yourself, learn, study, look at people. And when I go to swim meets, even now, I keep looking at new drills. And I go, oh, that could be good for this kid. That could be good for that kid, And I think that another really good drill for the breaststroke on that part is a 1-arm breaststroke. So you go like this, and you go 1 arm, 3 right arms, 3 left arms, and 3 full stroke, So if you keep like this, your shoulders are getting close to your earlobes. You're like this. As soon as you drop your shoulders, you drop your elbows. So you keep your shoulders by your earlobes, and you catch like this. So right, left, and then 3 full stroke. And it could be anything. It could be 1-1-1. It could be 2-2-2. It could, but it's try to emphasize the right platform. Some of the drills, as I'm talking to you here, I'm going to cover more, but some of the drills that are important to me is how you position your feet in breaststroke and how high to your hips you bring them. And that's got to be taught. So one of the drills that's really good for that is you put your hands behind your bum and you try to get your heels to lift up to touch your hands. So heel touch. For me, even at the Olympics, it was an important drill for the swimmers to do. So, that's to me one of the drills that are that I look at to help not just get your feet up, but to kick and get your feet up. Like kick and then lift up. You don't kick and then drop your knees down. You kick and lift your feet up, if you know what I mean. So that's to me a really good one. Mike Bowman, that was a Joseph Nagy drill that I think is probably one of the best. You do full breaststroke underwater, like, pull and kick and pull, full breaststroke, not pullouts, full breaststroke. So the drill goes like this. It's two down, one, two, and then come to the surface, one stroke. And then you go back down and you go 1, 2, and then, so my 200 breaststroke boy was able to go 3-1, whereas the breaststroke girl, she was doing 2-1. And I tried to get her to go 3-1. And you know what? Again, it was a battle all the time. I didn't want to get in the battle. I wanted her to get better at things. So sometimes I make her go 2-1, 3-1, 2-1, 3. But, like, we're not in a battle. We're in creating an environment where they keep learning, getting better. So, there's no box to the training. Everything is malleable for different athletes. So the kicking, I think, is a really good drill. The one arm breaststroke is a real good drill. The 2 pull, 1 kick is another good drill. And so rarely would I swim breaststroke to swim breaststroke, like 6-100 breaststroke on 2 minutes. I would never do that. It would always be, there'd be a drill attached to it, or there'd be speed to it. But medium speed breaststroke is no good. Your body position is too low. Your timing is wrong. And so to me, it's either on race pace or on speed for parts of the program. So one of the things that I like to do a lot was, we had these walls at 12.5. And so it would be, 16:25 at a 12.5 wall. So you do 4 walls, and it really works on your underwater pullout. And, or 16:25, you have to go a certain time. Let's say you have to go 16:8 for the girl, the boy, 14:2. And, but you have to do it at 4 strokes or 5 strokes instead of 7 strokes. So it forces you to get long. It forces you to get high. It forces you to make every stroke effective. One of the things that we as coaches also have to keep remembering, and coaches around the world might completely disagree with me, but to me, it's more important that they, in breaststroke, that they hit the time, and butterfly, they hit the time that you want, instead of, I'm making them tough. They're going 25 on 25 breaststroke. Well, 25 on 25 breaststroke is fine, but you're not getting the time, or you're not getting the technique that you want. So to me, set up the outcome that you want, put the time to it, and then build into it. So here's a set that it would take me 8 weeks to set up properly. It was 3 to 8 round of 550s. And the first week was 3 times 550s with 100s in between. The 550s, they had to go the 3 first 50s swim at the world record pace, or at the time that they were aiming at. And then the last 2 only kicking as fast as they could. So what happens is, every time I would do these things, it would put the emphasis on, just a minute. It would put the emphasis on the kick at the end of the race, because this is where it's at. For anybody that know backstroke, if you have no kick and backstroke the last 25, you might as well just stop swimming or butterfly, you got nothing. Well, breaststroke is the same thing. So, so I think all of these are important. I keep saying technique, especially for breaststroke, and long. The concept, a long boat is faster than a small boat. Well, you got to get your breaststrokers to swim like a long boat. So when their feet are down, they don't go very fast. I've talked to you a little bit about timing. I've seen many people with different philosophy on timing. My thoughts in the last 5 years have been that, first of all, you can't start pulling until your feet are together, except maybe in the 50s where, as you get close, you could start moving. But to get the full power of your legs in the 100 and especially the 200, you need to be able to finish your stroke, before you start pulling. In saying this, I always also think that it's important that you kick your hands forward. So you don't kick and then pull. Kick and pull. I like pull, and as you get to here, you kick your hands forward at the surface with your head down between your ears, between your arms. So it allows you to use the propulsion of your legs to glide a bit longer. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but feeling like you're pulling and then there's a pause and you're kicking, I would think that your speed, I've never analyzed it that way, but I would think that your speed kind of goes like this. And what you're trying to do is avoid the change in speed and maintaining the speed. So to me, that's why I always like to kick as your hands ride forward. So with the tennis ball breaststroke, it really helps a good technique. As they get really good at tennis ball breaststroke, you could go with a golf ball. It makes it a bit harder. And, and so I could tell you all the other, I remember David Wilkie in the 70s, big kick and then big pull and then big kick. And I worked for him. That's good. So for me, if you teach overall breaststroke to a bunch of kids, I think the kicking your hands forward and gliding 1, 2, 3 might be a better way to learn breaststroke. Then you could adapt to the rest of the things, Different set for breaststroke in kicking. Let me tell you my favorite set. I might have said that to you guys before. It's a 75 kick, and you can do that with all the strokes. It's a 75 kick all out, faster than their 100 swim time. So if you go, 55, 100 fly, you have to kick 75, kick faster than 55, 100 fly swim. Then you do a 50 easy swim, and then you go a 25 kick all out. And again, set time, get your watch, know the times. For me, it was trying to get these kids under 17 seconds and the breaststroke boy under 15 seconds. His best 50 breaststroke short course was 31.6. And his best 100 breaststroke short course was 1:07.9. Whereas the breaststroke girl, her best 100 breaststroke kick was, if I remember, 1:14 or 1:16, but the 50 was 36. So, when you do, remember the set I just said, 350 swim at race pace, 250 kick. Her job was to kick under 40 all the time. The boy's job was to kick under 35 at the end of the stroke, So to me, that's one of the really, and you go 4, 5, 6, 8 times, depending on, is it an endurance speed or is it just speed? So, that's one of those sets. Another set, which would be something like 1050s on race pace. Again, the interval is important. The interval is allowing them to go race pace. If they don't go race pace, then you're wasting your time. You're just going fast breaststroke. So the set would be like 1050s on a minute 30 with 100 easy. 850s on a minute 25, 100 easy. 6, 4, 2, 1. Stuff like that. They're pyramid up, pyramid down. As I coach and as I grew up coaching In the system here, we used to do a lot of progression, 1 to 5, 1 to 4, and as I got through my coaching career, I didn't like progression because you really didn't ever get the whole of threshold because you're doing it, you're going to go fast, but you're only going one of the 4 100s that you're trying to go fast. So it would be, I would never do that. And so anytime I would go breaststroke, there'd be, like 850s kick on 130 all out, or 850s kick on a minute best average, stuff like that. So I think to me that was part of the game. I'm just looking for other, I think another set that I liked, and I got it from Bob Bowman. So Bob would do this set of 4 100 fly, 4 9am, 4 100 back, 4 9am, 4 100 breast, 4 9am, and 4 100 free, 4 9am. So I took it and did a permutation to it on the 200s. It'd be 450s and a 2 9am, 450s kick for the breaststrokers, 2 9am, 450s pull, 4 9am, and 450s full stroke at race pace, 4 9am, or 2 9am, sorry. And so, or I coach like even 100s, 425s. So you take the roll, Bob was setting it up for Leon in IM. I just took the ideas and kind of adapted it for what I was looking for the breaststrokers. The thing about the young coaches today that we as older coaches, the only way we learned was talking to other coaches. Oh, what do you do for this? And what do you do for that? And I could tell you this. I remember when I moved to Australia in 2001, often in the US and in Canada, coaches were talking and going, oh yeah, but United States Swimming doesn't do this for us, or Canadian Swimming doesn't do that for us. And I remember thinking, like, rarely as coaches did a coach come to you and go, that kid looks really good. Have you thought of maybe trying to do this too and help each other? Because, we're not trying to beat dog eat dog. We're trying to help each of our country to get stronger so that we can be more competitive. But then I got to Australia, and I was a week in Australia, and I went to a conference, and all it was for 3 days was, how could we help each other with technique from Ian Thorpe or Grant Hackett or Michael Klim, or how could we adapt it to, and the coaches at table going, okay, well, what would you do with this kid and with that kid? And it was just brilliant. And I remember going like, that's why the Australians are so close to beating the rest of the world, because they're not beating, even if they're competitive as hell together, they're not beating each other. They're trying to help each other. Power for breaststrokers to me is crucial. And the way I use power for the breaststrokers is through power racks swimming, pulling, kicking for 15 meters, 20 meters, 25 meters, surgical tubing, parachutes, weight belt to force their hips down so they could work at getting their hips up. And I would often, probably 3 times a week, would do this set where we'd go 16, 12, or 850s on no interval. It was one easy, one fast, and the fast one with fins and paddles, the biggest paddles you could get, breaststroke, was you need to pull faster with fly kick, faster than the breaststroke world record. Every one of them had to be faster than the breaststroke world record with big paddles. So you could imagine the amount of power that you're generating. And I was often at the end, not often, I was always at the end of the workout. So whenever they get to the end, then I'd add that to it to even keep moving the speed, the height on top of the water, and so on and so forth. You might not remember this guy, but there was a guy called Sebastian Coe. He was a miler, world record holder in the mile. And his point was, everybody trains like this and then go home. So I train with them like this. And then that's when I start, at the end of workout, that's when I start my race pace, when I'm exhausted, and I make it work. And I keep remembering that all the time. So power, there's a weight room power, and then there's the weight room in the pool. So whenever we do weights, that session 3 times a week for weights. That session we do power in the water. We might go 1,200 meters, 1,500 meters. After the weights, we'd go 400 easy. Then we'd start putting, and like the breaststroke boy that went to a 7, he would pull on the power rack 25 meters with 100 pounds on the power rack. So, that was, and we time it. You try to go faster. We'd go 4 rounds pulling, 4 rounds kicking, 4 rounds swimming. And then the backstrokers would be fly kick underwater, like 4 rounds of 15 meters or 20 meters fly kick underwater. And we'd put the breaststroker kicking with them. So to me, the power rack and the tubing is okay. The challenge with the tubing is if you want to measure things, which we should be measuring, well, you need to always use the same tube because they're all different. Whereas the power rack or the parachute, it's always the same because they own their own parachute. So there was a lot of that. One of the really good tool that I used towards the end, but also at other time in the 80s and 90s, with a sponge. So you have a belt and a rope, and you get one of those cleaning sponge that's about this square, and you tie the rope at the end and you let it drag behind. It drags at the water surface. You can put 2 sponges or 3 sponges. It drags at the water surface and it doesn't change your body position. Whereas sometimes the parachute pushes your legs down, and because the parachute goes down like this. The power rack is good because the wire, the cable is behind you out of the water. Pulling, I wouldn't be scared to do pulling, and you adapt to it. But if you're doing pulling with the freestylers 400, maybe the breaststrokers it's 300, and it's go 25 breaststroke, 25 freestyle. Or if you have a good breaststroke puller, you go 50 breaststroke, 25 freestyle. We get to the end where we go 5-300 breaststroke pull, while the other swimmers would go 5-400 backstroke pull type of thing. And I did a camp not long ago here in Canada, and I gave that to the breaststroker, and he looked at me like I was an idiot. Anyway, I saw him 3 weeks later, and he felt like, wow, that really helped me. And I was just, a progression of a set. So pulling for breaststrokers, I don't tie them tight. I want their legs to move so they have a rhythm. It's not like even backstroke. I find when you put a band on the backstrokers, they lose their technique. It's really hard to get their hips up. Well, if I do don't let their legs, they don't kick. Maybe little kids would kick and you have to adapt. But the senior kids, if you talk to them about why it's important not to kick, most of the time they listen to you. So it's about keeping the rhythm, because if they stiff up, they change their technique, they drop their elbows. It's kind of like driving a Formula One car on a NASCAR track. It's like irrelevant really at the end. Like I said to you, kicking is for me, it's really important. I find any stroke you should be putting into your system, including your little kids, 20 to 25% kicking. And if you have kids that are not good kickers, maybe one group goes 50 kick, the other group goes 25 kick, 25 pull. Like, it doesn't matter. You just want to adapt. Your best kickers will kick better, and you improve your not so good kickers. So if I'm going to go, 1675 kick with one group, well, maybe the other group is 50 kick, 25 swim with the other group, or 25 kick, 25 pull, 25 swim with that group. So, it's how do you build their confidence in the kicking? Because if you're terrible at kicking and you always make them do it with the good kickers, well, they don't see themselves as being good kicker, and then they don't give up. They just don't feel like they're part of the game, I do kicking off the walls, holding onto the wall, one hand at the top, surf, one hand underneath, kicking on the wall like you would do with swimming lessons for little kids. 2 to 3 times a week, I would be a 10-minute kick on the wall. It'd be 20 seconds all out, 20 seconds no kicking. Then 20 seconds with a medicine ball above the water, 20 second no kicking. And you switch, or just kick on the wall, or rotate, or medicine ball with two kids in two lanes and they pass the medicine ball to each other like this. All of these things was to really focus on the kick. But the speed kick on the wall to me is one of the most important one, because it teaches them to kick and bring your feet up right away instead of kick, up. To go fast, you got to kick and set yourself up right away. And so the breaststrokers the goal was to go over 30 kicks per second. Per 20 seconds. 30 kick per 20 seconds or more. They get to 35 or something. While they were doing this, my flyers would go vertical kick fly with their hands out of the water or wait. And if they go 20 kicks, 20 seconds, I'd want them to go 40 kicks or more. And they're really good, try to get to 50 kicks. Again, if you start that right away, you kill them. So you could start for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or you go 5 seconds all out, 20 seconds rest. 10 seconds all out, 20 seconds rest. 15 seconds all out, 20 seconds rest. 20 seconds, do a pyramid, then go back 15, 10, 5, like this. But it really helps. But you can't do that once and then we're going to do it again in 3 weeks. Like, it's part of your training program. It's a really important tool. And then kicking with the sponge to me is also another one that I feel is good. Don't just do the work. Measure them all the time, and sometimes they'll do great, sometimes not so good, and say, okay, like, you're 18 now, let's see if we get to 17.5 or something. So again, the kicking is part of the setup of high performance but only if your feet go up behind you. They don't stay down at the end of your kick. And the little kids will never finish their feet together. They go like this and they don't finish. Well, in baseball or cricket, if you don't, which hand is here? If you don't flick your hand at the end, there's no speed to the ball. Well, same thing for breaststroke. If you don't flick your kick at the end, you lose a lot of speed. So one of the things that I find really important for breaststrokers is the time at 15 meters, either from the push off or from the dive, and improve the time. If you want to go online and see something that's really cool, if you don't have it already, Queensland Academy of Sport created a speed chart. It's a sheet that says if you want to go 1 minute 100 free, this is how fast you should be at 15 meters, 20 meters, 25 meters, 60 meters, and so on and so forth. So even when I was in Azerbaijan last year, I put those charts on the wall for all the strokes. And I'd go, okay, tonight we're going to go 6 dive, 15 meters. Go look how fast you have to go to be to your goal time. And they go see, and they go, okay, I have to go 8.78. We take those times. Or 20 meters. In the same, so speed chart, Queensland Academy for Swimming, speed chart, Queensland Academy of Sport is a great tool. It's a bit of an older model, but you know what? It works. It works fine. So you could, I know, Shannon Rollerson, who coached a world record holder or the Olympic champion as a 16-year-old in early 2000, he would use that a lot. But he'd go sets like, okay, we're going to go 8 dive, 15, 6 dive, 20, 4 dive, 30, not 25 because you're always comparing time at 25, and then 2 dive, 40 meters, for example. But you have to be at the speed that you want to be for the world record. If you understand what I'm trying to say here. So to me, that's the speed chart is a really cool platform. I talked to you about wall kick. I talked to you about vertical kick. Sculling and breaststroke is really, really, really important to learn to swim with your hands and elbows up at the surface. So it's all about sculling, head down, snorkel, no snorkel, head up. With a pull buoy, if the buoys sink a bit, put 2 pull buoys on them, or fins, get their feet up. But sculling, so I would consider doing things such as 875 or 8100, where you go 25 sculling, 25 pull, 25 kick with the pull buoy, keeping your knees in, and 25 swim. And so with the pull buoy. And so the sculling to me was always, I would probably do out of 11 workouts a week, I probably do 8 workouts where there would be some type of sculling in it. And not just in the front, but in the back and so on and so forth. So that's again, a tool in the warm up. But again, I go back to breaststroke. You could go 16,400 free. You can't do that. So breaststroke is about technique, drills, break down the stroke movement. And when you go fast, you go fast. You go race pace or faster. Find ways to break the world records. We're going to go 4:25s, add up the time faster than the world record, for example. Turn time is also in the charts. If you look at the speed chart, there's 2 sides to it. The turn times are important to 15 meters. So what I do is you swim. There's 2 things you need to look at. The time by the time you touch the wall to when you push off the wall, you should be under 1 second. That speed of touch and push, that should be under 1 second. So that could measure that. And then we also, the turning time in the charts, the speed charts in the back, you'll see the time of turning from at the 50, to 65 meters. So you could measure that, and then you could go 8 turn to 15 meters time, trying to get to those times. It forces you to pay attention to your streamline and so on. And remember, early on in the workout, I talked to you about in the session, pushing down, kick, streamline, pushing up. All right. So I think to me, you need to work those times. And if they're measured, then you could say, hey, Joanne, like last week or 2 days ago, you were at 11.2. Now you're 10.9. That's great. Okay. The stroke count drill for breaststroke is really, really important. It teaches them to be effective in their technique. And so part of, not daily, but part of often in your week, we go back to doing 825 or 850s, count your stroke, reduce your stroke count every 50. And you can even do it in choke course. You add the first lap, I did 6 strokes, second lap, I did 8 strokes, so that's 14. Let's see next time I could go less than that, So that's also, to me, one of the things that I feel is really important for breaststrokers. And I kind of like it because it gives them something to focus on when they swim a bit faster. And, often in a set of 1650s race pace, one easy went fast or something like this, I say, how many strokes did you do? And they say, well, we did 11 or 7 or this and that. So they count on it. One of the things I do a lot with breaststrokers is underwater. So we could go, 16 or 12 or 10:25 underwater. And the first one, you're allowed 3 breaths. Second one, you're allowed 2 breaths. Third one, you're allowed 1 breath. Last one, you're allowed 0 breath. Well, with the senior kids, we would do it long course. The first one underwater is you're allowed 3 breaths for 50. Second one, 2 breaths at 50. Third one, 1 breath at 50. And then a 50 underwater. Now, you start that, they don't make it. But you go, hey, you were 31 meters last time, now you're 36 meters. You're getting better. And I find that we used to do this in the warm-up at the international meets also. For some reason, it fires up your system of survival system so that it kicks in your lungs to be more efficient. Is it just in my mind? Maybe it is. But the swimmers really felt it was useful to them in doing a lot of that. And the last thing I'm going to talk to you about, is an hour now, is the 2 pullouts. A lot of time, and I got that from Mike Borman and Joseph Nagy, a lot of time we would do sets of 50s breaststroke for the good breaststrokers, and they do 25 if it's 25 short 25-meter pool. We go 25.
Coach workout. Hello, coach.
Something happened over here too.
Yeah.
My computer froze. Maybe, but it shouldn't happen for everybody.
Guys, can you please put your names? Kindly type your names. Nick. Who is this Nick? Kindly type your names, please. Okay, you can just send me your what's this? Send me a message so I can send you the certificate. Okay. Send me a message so I can send you the certificates.
He was on for more than an hour.
Oh, the coach.
I'm back here.
Okay.
Oh, hey, coach.
So I don't know. Like I told you, my iPad was anyway. I might make it for another 5 minutes here. That you do a 25 flip turn, 2 pullouts underwater instead of just 1. So it really puts them into a stressful position so that when they race, breaststroke, the underwater is a lot easier than normally. So the progression is easy. You start with a normal turn with 2 pullouts, and then a flip turn with.
Oh boy. Things froze over here.
Coach. I think coach is having a hard time with his signal. Coach is having a hard time with the signal. Try to call him. Okay, coach, you're back.
Yeah, I'm probably only back for a minute or two because I'm trying to charge this thing at the same time. So if you ever want to give your coaches my email if they want some more questions, please feel free to do that. Okay.
Hey, coach, when you do the kicking in the breaststroke sets, how do you do it? With a kickboard or no kickboard?
Yeah, I do it with a kickboard because I think it's really important to keep your body position. When you do it without a kickboard, the only thing I do without a kickboard is when you touch your heels kick. But I don't want, again, I don't want a battle of trying to catch up and so on and so forth. I just keep it simple. Kickboard on top. They try to push the board down a bit in the front so that it keeps your hips up. But I think it's kicking. Yeah.
And,
even egg beater kicks sometime with the board, but.
And then I like those 12 and a halves.
Yes.
Bob Gillette used to do flex lane bulkheads. Did you ever run into him when you were in Arizona, Coach Gillette? Oh, he's froze again. Oh boy, that's a cliffhanger. All right. I think we should adjourn, Dennis. I do have a video that I can show for 15 minutes afterwards. It's pretty interesting, related to some new technology that's coming out of Israel and the U.S., this Orca Vision. So, Dennis, do you have any parting words?
Okay, everybody, we would like to finish the session of Coach Pierre Lafontaine. Since he's having a hard time catching up with the internet, maybe I think it's the laptop. Okay, we are thankful for Coach Pierre Lafontaine's effort on giving us the way he handles breaststroke. Okay, and we're very particular with the way he describes the training program and the technique. We are very thankful for Pierre Lafontaine for his efforts. Coach Mark, that's yours.
Thank you. But this is an interview I just had with some brand new technology coming out, and you'll meet the entrepreneurs. It's a way to have video for your meets and even for your training, and it's going to give a lot of important data. Heavy or Not, number 104 goes to Israel and gets heavy with data with Addy and Orca Vision.
I'm in Israel, but Orca Vision is incorporated both in Israel and the US. The idea of Orca Vision started a bit over 2 years ago, but it took a while to develop, about almost 2 years, the technology. So we just came out at the beginning of really this year. We just started selling some beta version, and now we are in the mode when we start scaling, and we have more customers coming in. But this is just the moment is right now. But a lot of very strong players already know us, and big federations are reaching out to us. I used to be a professional swimmer too.
Hi, Coach.
Amen.
So I swam in the college system.
Yeah. Coach, you want to say something?
No, thank you very much. Be an artist when you coach
Coach, we are
breaststroke.
very thankful in behalf of the UCSSC. We don't have the right words to say thank you, and we would like to again take advantage of saying, Coach, we are endlessly thanking for how many times that you gave us the efforts of sharing your knowledge now in breaststroke. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to say thank you. And Coach Mark, you have your last words. Okay. Coach,
Thanks, Coach.
you want to say something?
It's
Coach
great to have
Pierre?
you. Sorry.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Coach. Coach.
Okay.
We started selling some beta version, and now we are in the mode when we start scaling, and we have more customers coming in. But this is just the moment is right now. But a lot of very strong players already know us, and big federations are reaching out to us. I used to be a professional swimmer too. So I swam in the college system, and now I'm the chairwoman of the biggest club in Israel, and I had 7 guys at the Olympic Games in Paris. But my background is computer science and mathematics. My grad school I studied in Columbia University, and my co-founder is a way better mathematician than I am. And so do the other guys who work with us. They're brilliant guys. We started, it just happened to be swimming geeks, but we're coming, you know, they left their fancy jobs at Google and Microsoft, and we left everything to do this. It's not just the analytics part of it, right? I mean, it's just the fact that swimming is sports, it's really missing engagement. It's really weak on engagement, and a lot of kids are losing the sports and leaving the sports, and parents kind of living left out. I mean, it's a very expensive sport, costs a lot, but the parents are not very engaged. You don't really know your kid is progressing, not progressing. You only know the final time. That way you know in swimming. So there's no story there. I feel like taking ownership of the data and having data available to everyone. And you know, with the videos and knowing benchmarks and what's a talented kid, what is a talented 12 years old? Like nobody knows. You just don't have this data. Everyone is collecting their own Excel thing. It's like the last really popular sports that has no data. Everyone is doing their own Excels. Nothing is, you know, you don't have any data sources with data. Nobody's really collecting it. It's manual work, takes forever to collect data in swimming. You know, people like, you know, Russell or these guys, I mean, instead of actually helping swimmers get better, 70% of the times they're doing data extraction from swimming. So we came to change that. And also being able to extract data at scale in real time can also serve as broadcasting. If you look at broadcasting and swimming, like we're supposed to pilot with Eurosport this summer. Eurosport is under Warner Media. They reached out to us and they say, I mean, we have nothing to say about swimming in broadcast. I mean, you just know who got first, who got second. You have no idea there's no story there. So being able to break every race and every swimmer to like skills, right? Like who has the best, you know, underwater, who's to the 15, who has, you know, the most efficient stroke, who lost speed towards the turn, who did better turns. I mean, who had the, you know, the fastest, like maybe surface speeds, like who lost more speeds on the breakout. I mean, there's so many parameters you can calculate once you turn into, you know, computer vision. And we are collecting between 20 to 40 data points every second of the video for every swimmer. This is how much data we're sitting on.
So repeat that, because that was hard to get my head around. 20 to 40 data
points every second of the video for every swimmer.
In 8 lanes or 10 lanes.
8 or 10, whatever you have. Yeah.
With how many sources? Like cameras?
Just if it's 25 meter or yards, just one. And if it's 50 meters, we use 2. Really, I mean, the idea, I mean, also was to make it not too complicated, right? I don't want to install 9 cameras around the pool. Nobody's going to install it. But if you put 1 camera, that's easy, right? We come, I mean, actually, our integrator come, install it, takes an hour maybe. We calibrate it remotely, that's it, you're ready to go. So the ease of use here was extremely important. And another thing is that on the same system that installed for the racing, we actually do training. So we have Orca Vision Train as well, which is another product, but using the same infrastructure, right? Think about having a GPS and accelerometer on the entire pool. This is what we have. This allows us to do some very, very sophisticated clinic-based Orca train stuff. We can determine exactly your inner cycle speeds. I can know how much percentage of your speed you lost on the breakout. And we've seen so much data already. I can go, I mean, I've seen even the SEC, we analyze the entire SEC because we're installed at the University of Tennessee. I've seen top swimmers, world records, like, you know, swimmers losing 30% on the breakout. This is not good because, you know, others are working on it, they're losing 12 to 13% on the breakout. And you see these top swimmers, they just don't know. And even the best coach in the world does not know how to tell 0.2 of a second in his eyes. He just doesn't. So he can tell you like, okay, try to correct this and do this. Okay, it might work, it might doesn't. But he only knows the final time. But could be actually the part that he worked on wasn't faster. So being able to have the entire picture here, it's like it's a real game changer. And also being able to use it in training and in competition, like when you have the same system, comparing apples to apples, it's pretty amazing. And just I'll throw some numbers just from the beginning of the year, from the installation we have so far. We've analyzed over 25,000 races. I don't think in the world in the last 20 years you have 5,000 races analyzed, and this is just the very beginning. So this, we're talking about like masses of data and really can transform the sport, like from so many levels. And I didn't even talk about coaches education yet, which is like super important piece here. This is like one of the the most important section in my opinion, because data is great and parents are smart too. Sometimes they're smarter than coaches. But eventually, you want coaches to get better and understand. Some of them, even very strong coaches, can get intimidated by all this data. So like, okay, what do I do with this now? So I think education is extremely important, and I think this tool can actually help educate a lot of coaches as well. Once we get all the infrastructure right, and we already connected with very strong educator in the sport. And a lot of top coaches like knows about us. I mean, as I said, Matt Credich, but David Morris is on, and Dev Silo knows about us, and Sonia Porter, she was the technical director for Singapore, and she's a great educator. And the list goes on and on. So we have like really top coaches on top of it in Europe as well, not just in the US. But I feel this can really sort of put everything together. Parents, coaches, swimmers, broadcasters, like educator, like all sort of on the same infrastructure, and learning so much from it and improve the sports eventually, right? This is what we came to do. We love the sport.
Where do you have some installs? Where have you gotten those 25,000 races from?
I have few competition in Tennessee, actually. This was the first pool we installed in the US. We have a couple more orders in the US. I'm not sure I'm going to say the names yet because we're in the middle of signing a contract, but I have 8 more the D1, like top NCAA, top 20 schools. And I'm going to add more. I mean, as I said, we just started. I have a few clubs in Europe. I have in Southeast Asia. I have in Singapore 2 systems. 4 big NGBs federations that order a few systems. I'm not sure if I can say the names yet.
Once they install, they can't move, right? Or they just sort of stay at that?
So once the cameras are installed, so again, we have a few things. So it should be mounted. I mean, we came to the TYR Pro, USA Swimming invited us, so we mounted it temporary. But the idea is to be permanent, and then you calibrate it once and you don't have to touch it. You can use it for training and for racing. This is the goal of it. But I'll tell you another thing we're developing right now. We're going to have capabilities of doing things in penning. So you're going to be able to use your iPhone and pen over a swimmer. It's not going to be the 10 lanes at a time, but we're adding this feature where you'll be able to extract data automatically just from penning over a swimmer, which is great maybe for kids and for places where where Orca won't be installed. So this is going to replace that. But the idea is to be able to compare yourself against yourself and your competitors, right, over time. You want to know how much you improve, not just compared to yourself, compared to others as well. And having so much data allow us to do benchmarking. So I can tell you, okay, maybe you're a 15-year-old in this region, but just so you know, I mean, the top 15 years old in the world are actually here, and you're here. So, once you have so much data, you can start doing this kind of thing. So all the tools out there, they exist. I mean, you take the video and then you have to manually tag and have stroke. We have 0 tagging. We don't do that. We use pure computer vision, mathematics, and physics to automatically extract those matrices. So you don't have to do the tagging. So this is the major difference here, is just the automation part of it and also the accuracy. I mean, we've tested against so many benchmark and manual benchmarks, and we haven't seen any human that does it better. So we are very, very, very confident at this point that we're extremely, extremely accurate.
The IM and everything, right?
Everything.
The data goes from the camera to a local PC.
No. It doesn't go to local PC. No. The camera, first of all, on device itself, we can do some of the processing we do on device, and some we stream to the cloud. So as soon as the race starts, we start analyzing while the race is going. So the race starts, we stream to the cameras, from the camera, it streams to the cloud Okay. We do the analysis, then it updates our dashboard. We have live day dashboard. So think about it. You have a race and the swimmer is not even, maybe didn't even walk over to you, and you have all the results in an iPad. The entire race. So it takes, a few minutes, everything is out. And, if you think about short races is one thing, but think about like a 1650 or 1500, who is analyzing those? So once you have this automated, or the 400s, even 200, it takes so much time to analyze those manually. It's a terrible job, terrible job. There's a lot of mistakes there. Just from the idea that every lens is distorted, all the manual tools don't take into consideration distortion. So just to begin with that, you have a lot of places where you can actually have mistakes in the measurements that you extract. Just from the fact that you don't take into account distortion, and none of them actually do. Some of them, they can count buoys, they do all kind of things. I mean, things are pretty cool tools, but I mean, in terms of accuracy and speed and scalability, right? There's nothing really to compare there.
Well, then how does your Orca know that the guy in heat 3, lane 3 is Sally or whatever?
Okay. So in competition, it's easy. We sit on the same network as the timing system. So wherever you have actually a board where you can, see the results, we get the same feed. So that easy. We just know who is who. And what we've developed as well, where you can actually run Orca race in training. Let's say you do race pace training. Okay. So in your team, it's either right now, I mean, as I said, the Orca train is still in development. But right now, you know who you are, which team, which swimmers you have, so you can actually choose them and place them inside the app. But we're actually planning something automatic, very, very cool. But I can't say it yet because it's our proprietary thing, and I don't want to be out yet. But we're planning something extremely cool, but it actually will know who is who just from the cameras. So it's coming up very soon.
Maybe something.
I can't tell you everything yet.
Okay. They were going to wear a barcode on their cheek.
Well, maybe. But yeah, I think the technology is pretty amazing. And think about, another use case we thought for it could be VAR in swimming. There's not really VAR in swimming. So you have referees standing in the 15-meter line and saying like maybe who crossed the line. But we know exactly where the line is. They don't really. So this could be another use case, for VAR, for example, and we can also be a timing system places where they don't have touchpads, because we recognize a swimmer, every little, centimeter, so we can figure out where he touched the wall. So that's another use case eventually that we're working on, and maybe replacing all the volunteers that come and have to take time in all the small leagues that you have. Easily, soon we're going to replace those as well. And instead of writing things on paper and then have to go to another system to type them in, you can just do it automatic. You don't need this for it. So this is sort of like
We had a wonderful conversation with Addie from Israel, and this is only the front part of it. I want you to go now to the YouTube station for Heavy or Not, or else the Facebook for the International Swim Coaches Association, and watch the rest of the video. The links will be in the show notes. We also have the full transcript. Just for clarity, there's a lot of talk about Orca. So the International Swim Coaches Association has the Orca Awards, which just launched in 2026. Also launching in 2026 in the marketplace is Addie's company, Orca Vision Company, ORCAVISION company, COMPANY, and that'll take you to her website. Thanks for being a guest, and thanks for subscribing to the podcast, Heavy or Not.
Okay, everybody, that's all for today. We are very thankful, okay, for your presence or attendance. Coach Mark, you want to say something?
No, I think that's pretty interesting stuff, huh? And there is a longer video where she shows us what the computer screen has. I put the link in the chat. You can go to the Substack, or you can also go to wasu.org. I'll have it there in it's the podcast number 104. Hey, have a good weekend, everybody. Happy
Okay,
Father's Day.
guys,
What we have in
thank you.
I'm going to turn off the stream
Bye-bye,
and turn
bye-bye.
off everything.